Hi everybody, it looks like we have a quorum, so we'll get started. So thanks for joining everybody. I am Elaine Chang, I'm the Senior Manager for Global Market Development here at TerraWorks. And so I talk to lots of organizations who are trying to collect and manage data in the field, and I try to help. And today we're happy to be joined by Manuel Andrade, who's the COO for Iluméxico, which is based in Mexico City. And he'll give you some more details about what he does very soon. We're super excited to present today's topic about offline credit scoring. I hear from a lot of organizations who are providing different types of financing at the bottom of the pyramid, including things like business loans, loans for farming equipment, or solar panel systems. And there are some major hurdles with this because there are no standards for assessing creditworthiness. At least none that I've come across, so perhaps there are people on this call who know of some and can share. Another hurdle is that information systems just aren't in place, much less linked together, and so there's no central repository for income, repayment types of information. So a lot of our clients face this, but they still need a way to assess credit right now. And so we're really happy to have Manuel share how they've come up with a way for Iluméxico's field agents to do all of this while they're offline. So before I hand it off to Manuel, I'm just going to go over some housekeeping rules. And while I do that, I'm going to launch a poll here. So if you wouldn't mind keying in your responses. So in terms of housekeeping rules, this session will be recorded and everybody will be on mute by default. We're happy to take questions. So there are a couple ways that you can do this. You can raise your hand through the control panel, and I'll unmute you. When I unmute you, if you wouldn't mind just sharing your name and which organization you're calling from. The second way is to type your question into the question window, and then I can ask it for Manuel. And I think we'll take questions kind of throughout the presentation, especially clarification questions, so keep those questions coming through. We'll also leave ample time at the end for additional questions. Cool. So I'm just going to close this poll now. Very good. It looks like over half of you guys are looking to implement a system, but don't have one in place yet. So this is great. So hopefully Manuel's information will be helpful. Let me hide this and then turn it over to you. Manuel, you should have access now.
Yeah, perfect.
Great, and I can see it.
Can you see this?
Yes, great. Take it away, Manuel.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. I guess that the first time I gave a webinar, there was not that many people, and I'm excited to talk today about our scoring methodology. So I'm the head of the operations department here at Iluméxico. I would like to start with some background about our company. And then I'm going to dive right into why we decided to do a credit scoring methodology. Then I'm going to go to how we're doing it and what we expect. What we expect we're going to have at the end. If you have any questions in the middle, please feel free to interrupt me, and I can answer them at that moment. So I'm going to talk about energy poverty worldwide. More or less 1 out of 5 people in the world don't have access to electricity. This means around 1.3 billion people still lack this access, and this translates to 600,000 houses in Mexico. According to the World Energy Outlook and several other studies, energy has a great impact on people's lives, and especially on these 3 indicators: health, basically indoor air pollution; education, that means enabling the extension of studying hours and the provision of information and communication technologies; And then in economy, the reduction in spending on fossil fuel lighting and increase on productive activities, right? So our typical market conditions and characteristics are they're low-income families. They typically live with less than $4 a day per family. We're talking about families with 4 or 5 people in the family. They usually lack access to electricity or have unreliable access due to their geographic conditions. And they usually spend on lighting sources, including diesel, candles, and wood. They're spending around, I'd say, $15 to $20 a month in this kind of sources. So who are we? We're a Mexican social enterprise that provides energy to rural communities. Our mission is to fight poverty through solar energy, and we are actually doing this through 4 pillars of innovation and sustainability. We like to think that everything we work, we do it thinking of these 4 pillars. And these are the technology, the development of Mexican technology, last mile distribution. We have some centers we call Ilucentros. They're placed on strategic locations, and we employ local people who sell the equipment, give maintenance, and collect the repayments for our loans. Then we have our third, which is the consumer finance. We like to think we offer flexible financing, and I think we're going to center our talk today on this subject. And a fourth one, but not less important, is the social impact. We develop programs for social impact and social development inside the communities. So, why credit scoring? As you all probably know, there are big challenges in the field of microloans in the base of the pyramid. And our first 2, the things we want to measure and implement to impact some of our indicators is how people have their loan performance. So we have these 2 indicators, the portfolio at risk and our default rate. When we talk about our portfolio at risk, you can see that we have a high portfolio at risk, nearly 60%. We like to consider the people who are 30 days behind are still healthy, because usually due to the long distances they have to travel to make their payments, they can take up to 30 days to do that. This is not a bad indicator if you think that at the end people will pay. We actually want to have that the sum of 60 days and 180 days behind be less than 25, because that obviously would imply less working capital for us, and at the end a more efficient operation. And on the other side, we have, of all our finished loans, we have almost 92% paid, so only an 8% default or canceled rate. And although it's not that bad and it's considered in our business model, we would definitely like to put that number under 5%. So this is the main thing that made us think that we needed a scoring methodology to better choose the people we give loans to, or even though we're going to give the loans to everyone, just choose the perfect plan that adapts to each customer. Now, how is StarWorks helping us do that? We define like our 6-step plan to do this, and obviously it involves a lot of data. So I'm gonna talk to you about what we did along the way. So we defined the possible criteria for our loan performance. I'm sure you guys work on microfinance institutions and have a lot of experience in this. This is our first experience in microloans, so this is the first things that came to our mind. First, we have a set of trust indicators about the families. Usually, we ask how many years they've lived in the community, how many days they spend at the location where they're going to install their equipment. This is basically because if they spend the whole week over there, if we go to recover a repayment, we will definitely find them. But if they spend only the weekend in their small farm or where they're going to keep the equipment, maybe we won't find them at a specific date. Then we ask for the community organization. Typically, communities who are better organized have a leader, and the leader usually like makes people pay, or usually they have someone who recovers the whole repayments and then goes down to our offices and pay. And then we also ask how the leader of the family is involved in the community's activities. Usually people who are more involved in community's activities are present at the promotion reunions, at the programs we give, like the environmental and finance education programs we give. So we want to have those kind of customers. And on the other side, we have other indicators that are more related to income and expense. We ask for their occupation. We ask for their income, how regular this income is, and about their expenses. So we generate an income versus expense indicator, and aligned to that occupation, we can actually see if their job is a secure one, or if they have like a temporary job on the field, or something like that. We also ask if they receive money from government programs. This is especially important because there's a program that gives them money bi-monthly, and certain people use that money to pay us and to pay their loans. So we want to monitor if our portfolio in a certain location is usually 60 days behind, but we see that the default rate is very low. It's possible that these people are paying using this government program. So we wouldn't worry about that. And we usually also ask for the field officer opinion. It's not the same to ask a survey and people putting in their like answering their questions, but the field officer can actually give an opinion of how the family looks like, how the conditions of the household is in, the main economic activities in the region. So their input is very accepted and yeah, like cherished. So going on to step 2, I don't know if you have used TarotWorks before, but for the ones that haven't, there's a pretty easy way to make a survey. You write your questions and then you upload them to your field officer's cell phone. So it's pretty easy. Typically, the screenshot. This is a screenshot of the place where you build your survey. Here it's in Spanish. I'm sorry, but it's the only thing I have. So the second tab says preguntas. If you can see it, there you would write your questions, and then if you move to the third tab that's called scoring or puntaje, you would see this. If you can see at the bottom, I have 4 questions. Those are the 4 trust parameter questions. The years they have spent at the community, how many days they spend at that location, how organized is the community, and how well the leader of the family participates in the activities of the communities. So what we actually did was assign a factor of from -1 to 1 on each question. In the second one, only -1 and 1, defined by ourselves. We didn't make a study, we didn't make anything, we just defined that numbers by ourselves. And what we're doing is recollecting the sum of those numbers. So when the field officer answers the survey, they will get a sum of numbers at the end. For example, if they answer like 5 or more, 5 to 7, good and active, they will get a 4 in the trust parameter. So that's like the top number they could have. Based on that number, we assign a score that I'm going to show you in the next slide. We put these scores in Salesforce. There's also a pretty easy way to map the data you're getting from the field into a field in your CRM system. In this case, as you can see on the left side, I have the income parameter questions, and then I'm assigning the numbers. Based on the sum of the numbers they get, they have an income parameter that's from 0 to 5. And then on the trust questions, it's the same. We do the sum of those numbers and then translate the sum of that number into a letter. And we have an A to D trust parameter. So right now we have a very complex combination of numbers. You can even be 0A or a 5D. That's like the biggest difference. And then we can classify all our clients with that credit score. Now,
Manuel?
Yep.
We have a quick question just to clarify. Can you discuss what makes a community good, regular, or bad? Or how is that scored? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go back to this one. So typically, an organized community is the one who holds regular meetings. They have a place they hold these meetings. They have certain committees for different things. For example, here in Mexico, in Mexican communities, they have electrification committees, education committees, water committees. They have committees for a lot of like the development things. And if we see they have these kind of communities, we would say it's good. If we only see that they don't have this type of committees, but they do have the regular meetings and most of people attend these meetings, we would say it's a regular. And if they don't even host the meetings or they do not have a clear leader or the community is divided between two leaders, we would say it's a bad organization.
Great, thanks.
Clear? Okay, perfect. Okay, so advancing from the score grade, we have this 0D to 5A classifications. So we started doing this on September 2014. Right now, we have 700 finished loans with their credit score. We have how many days behind they're finished paying, how well they pay, how many, the number of installments they did. And with that data, this is what we're gonna do. We're starting to analyze cross-referencing this loan performance, cross-referencing the loan performance to the proposed indicators we had at the beginning. And we're trying to find a correlation between both of them and eliminating those without incidents. We think that maybe we will find some that actually don't affect our model, so we want to take all those away and come up with a model of 3 to 6 indicators, like a very simple model that the field officers can do that will tell us which loans are maybe, well, with a I hope more than 90% confidence interval, will be able to pay or not to pay that kind of loan. And at the end, we expect that we will have a simple but very effective credit scoring methodology. We will make accessible loan installments for our users based on their scores, because sometimes we give them, or they choose loan plans that are not adapted to their possibilities, and obviously that they will not have the best performance, and ultimately have a better portfolio at risk and default rate performance. As you can see, it's not only about our financial indicators, but it also includes a way for the customers to feel better with their loans, have better adapted loans to themselves, and at the end keep those customers in our portfolio. I think I made it super fast. I would really like to go to the Q&A session to see all your doubts.
Great, Manuel. I have another question from Stephanie Simpson here. It's how do you ensure that subjective responses are answered the same by each person? So obviously you have many different field agents, and so how do you make sure that they're all tracking and scoring on the same kind of spectrum?
I guess that when you say that the subjective questions mean the good, bad, or right. Regular organization and those kind of questions.
Right.
We have we have like a standardized set of how to say, like, options. Okay, we define the active or the good organization has certain description, and all our field officers have a document with that description. So they wouldn't choose a good organization if the community doesn't, how would you say that? I don't know the word. Doesn't fulfill the yeah, like the things we define that yeah, like how would I say this? Okay, if the community doesn't fulfill the parameters that a good community or a good organization community represents, they wouldn't choose a good community. They would choose the one more or nearer to the one like they're seeing at the moment. We get the data of the organization of the community from the leader. So at the beginning, if there's no leader, it's a bad community. If there's leader but they don't have committees, it's a regular. But if they have a leader and they have committees, it's a good community. If, for example, I'm gonna go back and see the questions. Okay, how active is the participation of the leader of the family? An active participation means they attend every meeting and they are involved in certain committee or attend the school or the school reunions. Regular participation is more or less the same. They attend some of the meetings, but not all of them, and they do not attend any committee. And a bad participation would be the exact opposite, that they don't attend any meeting. So usually the people who live the farthest away from the center of the community are the ones who aren't able to attend this kind of events. But if they usually attend like the monthly, I don't know, celebration, or they go to church once a month, that would be a regular. So we define those kind of parameters for each question.
Great. Thanks, Manuel. We have another question from, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing this correctly, but Ajetun Mobi. So they're asking, how is your information captured and analyzed? So I think this also goes to another maybe question is, can you just describe the workflow for how a field agent gets these credit scores while they're in the field? So how is that information capture with that process?
Sure.
Yep.
Just a question for you, Elaine. Does everyone here use TaraWorks?
No, I think it's going to be a mix of people who use it and who don't.
Okay. So every field officer has a cell phone with the TaraWorks application installed. The application allows you to, in an offline environment, gather information through surveys that you have previously programmed in your CRM and have uploaded to a field officer's cell phone. Field officers, when they have access to Wi-Fi or data, they sync their cell phone and they get the new surveys that we have uploaded to them. So every time a field officer makes a sale of an equipment, they go and do a survey for that sale. So we register all the like the data from the sale into the cell phone, so we can then sync that information to our CRM and have all our information in one place. What we did was add these questions to a survey we call client sell to new client. So every time we have a new client, we ask these questions first, like the trust questions and the income questions, and then we input the information about their sale. This information is stored in their cell phone, and when they go to a point they have access to Wi-Fi or data, they sync their phone, and this whole information is uploaded to our Salesforce system. We then have each piece of information for the ones that don't use TerraWorks, is mapped to a field in Salesforce, and you can make calculations using those numbers. So what we do is we make the sum of those numbers or the sum of other numbers and then translate them to either another number or a letter to make the credit score. So it's usually done in the field when the sale is done through the mobile phone.
Great.
I don't know if you want to add something about TerraWorks, Elaine.
No, that was a really great overview. Thanks, Manuel. I would say, I think you've also mentioned that your field agents use this to get the score immediately, so they don't have to kind of take an extra trip to head back to the office for the analysis.
Yeah. Okay. So on September 2014, we started doing what you just said. We actually had these questions, and here, if you see this slide, in the scoring, there's a blue box with a check that says show score totals to the mobile users. So when the survey is finished, the field officer would see the score. The thing that we thought at the end was, okay, they will be seeing a score, but we don't have data to say right now what score is good or bad. So we kind of put a pause on that subject, and until we have a defined methodology and a clear view of what score is good or bad, well, not bad, but different, and should therefore offer a different loan plan, we would do this again, like the showing the calculation to the field officer in that moment. But yeah, it's definitely something we will want to do in the next few months.
Great. So I think, Jesse, I think hopefully that answers your question as well. Okay, so another question from Samantha Kraus is, how many loans do they expect to, or how many loans do you need to disperse in order to analyze which factors are correlated to repayment with statistical significance?
How many loans we have to disperse so we can correlate? Okay, so I think the amount of loans we have right now is sufficient for a good analysis. We're working with a specialist in data who's helping us like get these correlations and see if we need more data or not. But apparently it's good enough, like these 700 finished loans.
Great.
I don't know if I answered the question correctly.
Samantha, feel free to write back if you have you had another question in mind. Okay, so question from Leo Tobias. Excuse me. What are you seeing in terms of target individuals or communities who are falling below the acceptable line, and how do you prevent inadvertently screening out the people who you are trying to reach?
Okay, I didn't understand the second part of the question. Could you repeat it, please?
I think I had actually a similar question. So it's, you know, you're in these base of the pyramid areas and you're trying to give access, but they're also kind of more likely to be poor. So how do you reconcile that? And I think you had mentioned something about tailoring or finding the perfect plan to help families who you've identified as maybe being more risky. So maybe can you talk about, like, if you identify someone who is more risky, how would you still help them to provide energy access?
Okay, so yeah, definitely we do not deny a loan to anyone because we know we're the, well, most of the times we're the first ones to give them access to this kind of opportunity, and we don't want to deny them that access. So when we find someone that we think it's a more risky loan, what we would do would be maybe reduce the number of like the loan term, increase the down payment a little bit, try to make the loan more adjusted to maybe 15–20% of their income, and that way not suffocate them with their finance, with their personal finance. But usually, I think the first part of the question was what happens when we do identify that people are getting behind and what we do about it. We usually are very patient with the customers, and typically they finish paying, if not on time, a little bit behind. But if a customer is definitely not gonna pay, we unfortunately do have to take the equipment away, because that way if we didn't take the equipment away, we couldn't benefit more people that are willing to pay. What we usually do is take the equipment away and give them a certain term to finish paying it, and then we will return the equipment to their house without any extra charge.
Oh, great, thanks. We have another question about how often do you renew the credit scores? Is it done at the time of the application or at another time?
That's a very good question. Actually, these 700 loans that have finished are the only loans these clients have, so we haven't renewed the credit score. And actually, we don't have a way to do that right now. We would definitely like to renew that every time they ask for a new loan. But at the end, if this is a second loan of a certain customer, we know their previous performance, and we can expect that the performance of this loan would be similar if the loan plan is similar. What we do in other side, we have like a credit rating that we assign to each customer when they finish paying the loans. This credit rating goes from 0 to 3. 0 being they never finished their loan. 1 being they finished their loan but with more than a 25% delay. 2 being they finished their loan with more than their 100% like payment time, like a little bit behind but less than 25% delay. And 1, they paid on time or before. 3, they paid on time or before. So if we have these 4 numbers, we can actually know if a client paid well their previous loan or didn't pay well, and we can even offer some discounts to certain client types.
Great. I have a question from Christopher Richardson Wright. He's asking, could you share the size of your loan portfolio and the number of individual loans you have active to give us an idea of the scale?
We have around 2 million pesos in our independent branches. I don't have right now the number of other branches that we work with other organizations, but independent branches we have around 2 million. That is maybe 1,500 or 2,000 credits, more or less.
Okay, great. Hopefully, Christopher, that answers your question.
Yeah, maybe a little bit less credits, 1,000. Yeah.
Okay. We have a question from Marcella Willis, who is, how much time would it take to do a credit score for one customer?
It usually takes between 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
And that's the whole idea. The idea is to make it simple and very, very efficient.
Are you collecting additional data points in case the variables that you are currently collecting and don't show any correlation?
Yeah, well, we're collecting some other points related to their energy access and basic services access, but not in, well, we're collecting if they have a bank account, if they've had a previous credit experience. We're collecting some other trust indicators as well. I just showed you like the basic ones.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Looking forward to hearing how it all gets analyzed and the results of this. We have a question from Amber Stewart. The analysis that you're doing, is it simple correlations or more advanced regressions? I guess, do you have any idea of the types of analysis that's being conducted on this?
Yeah, okay. So I'm not an expert on data analysis, but we're working with someone at Columbia University that, yeah, she's super experienced in data, and I think we're doing more advanced correlations and regressions. It's not just a simple correlation. It's I believe it's a multiple variable correlation. I think it's something very complex that I don't quite understand.
That's fine. That sounds right. Another question from Amber is, are most of your clients literate?
We have, I would say, 20% illiteracy, and then of the 100%, maybe 50% speak another language. Yeah, more or less.
Okay.
But they also speak Spanish, but not that well. So we have translators.
Great. Couple related questions here. What are the usual sources of income of clients, or like what industry are they involved in? Are they engaged in farming? Are they shop owners? And if they are farmers, how do you take that into consideration, considering there's kind of major forces like floods or droughts?
Yeah, okay. So I would say 80% of, or maybe, yeah, 80% of our clients are farmers. Maybe 18% are cattle owners, and 2% or less are shop owners. How we take in account the farmers? Well, we know their occupation is temporal. They don't have a fixed income, so we take that in account in one of the income indicators. But we will never obviously deny a loan to a farmer. Most of the base of the pyramid in Mexico is farming workforce.
Cool.
And I think they asked something about the income sources. They also have, like I mentioned before, a government program that gives them a bi-monthly income for their children. It's like they give you a certain amount for every children you have.
Right. Another question that I had was, if you have, you've obviously come up with the factors that you're looking at credit against. How would you suggest other people go about identifying what types of things they should track in their own business? Like, was there a process that you used to identify this, or how are you planning on? Yeah, what are best practices that you can share with some folks?
Okay. I'm gonna say this is my first experience in microloans or credit or anything related to credits. So what we did was logically think what would make a person pay better and or not pay the same way. And we having like the connection with our communities, we saw that people who were very poor but very trustworthy, actually they weren't the best performance, like portfolio at risk wise, but they did end up paying at the end. So we thought, okay, so we gotta involve the thing about the income or the expenses and see how much money they have actually available for a loan, And then we also have to think about if that person is trustworthy. And from the experience on the field, like taking in account the experience of our field officers and asking them what they would measure, we came up with these parameters. So I would say that the best way to go around identifying these factors would be asking the expert person and the one that's more in contact with the people you're about to give a loan to. In our case, the field officer. I don't know if anyone here gives a loan through a local branch or an office, but maybe the people who actually give the loans are the ones who know the client better. I'll go, yeah, that's advice, I guess.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Cool. Great. We have someone who raised their hand. Yay. Gaspar Rodriguez, I'm going to unmute you right now. If you could just introduce yourself and the organization that you're with, and then ask your question. Gaspar, you're on.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Great. Thanks, Manuel. My name is Gaspar Rodriguez. I'm actually a Fletcher at the Fletcher School in a graduate program right now, so unaffiliated with work. But I had a question. I understand you also have group borrowers. Is that right?
No. Well, we work with Kiva in group borrowers, and that's the only groups we do. But we do not finance any groups right now at the moment, unless the ones on Kiva.
Okay, so I guess my question was, so you don't have you don't do this risk scoring for groups, and you wouldn't know how that would work.
We do ask the questions for the group integrants, or the ones belonging to the group, but we do not ask the questions to the whole group, like they're individual indicators.
Okay.
But that's an interesting point. I will add that to the study, if they belong to a group or no.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Gaspar. Okay. Let me see. Lots of questions coming in. Okay, so how does this score fit in with existing credit evaluation processes that you might be doing? Is the intention to replace or augment
I'm sorry,
existing?
The last thing you said was?
I'm trying to understand. So I guess do you have any existing credit evaluation processes, and how does this score fit in with that?
No, we don't have any evaluation. This is the first one we do, and yeah, that's the first one we do.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, couple more questions from Ajitumobi. How do you manage malfunctioned equipment vis-a-vis loan default?
Okay, so malfunction equipment. Every person has the cell phone number from the field officer assigned to them. So if they have a malfunction, they will typically call the field officer, and the officer will give a maintenance in a 3 to 5 day window. If the person stops paying because of malfunction, we will go to them, fix the equipment, and if they continue not paying, like grabbing that as a pretext, I don't know if you say it like that, or like an excuse, we will definitely take away the equipment. But if the equipment is working well and they don't pay, we have to take it away. But if it's not working, we will definitely fix it. Our equipments have a 2-year warranty, and everyone can buy like an extended 1-year warranty every year, and they can access to better better prices on components and that sort of things.
Great, thanks. Manuel, can you speak a little bit about how clients repay the loans? You mentioned that they have to travel long distances. Do they have to go to headquarters? And actually, this might be a good way to kind of explain how you track repayments as well in the system.
Yeah, definitely. So we have 2 ways clients can pay. Either one is acceptable. We prefer the first one. We have a local partner. It's a Mexican like a bank network. It used to be a telegraph network, but right now it's a bank network, and it's present in everywhere except Mexico City. There's like 3 or 4 in Mexico City only. So people go there. They have a credential with their client number, and they pay their repayment there. They only give the card, and they give like their 200 pesos or 300 pesos, and they pay their monthly payment. That's the best scenario, since that doesn't include a field officer going to the community, recollecting the repayment, and going back to this office and doing the deposit himself. But sometimes communities are even 3 or 4 hours by foot away. So what we do is try to give one person in the community the responsibility of collecting the payments, and then going to an intermediate place between the branch and the community. This person would give the money to our field officer, and the field officer will deposit it right away. When these deposits enter the bank, we get like a payment relation, like a relationship of the payments from 2 days, like in 2 days. It has a 2-day delay, and we get that in an Excel format, and we make like mass uploads into our CRM system. We assign every payment to each opportunity or each sale in the server using the client's code.
Great. How do you actually, sorry, related question to that from Ajitumobi, how does technology play, or does technology play any role in repayments?
No, we actually, no.
Like mobile money or plans
no,
to do that?
We have thought about mobile money. The thing is that in the places we go to are usually high mountains who do not have access to a cell phone signal or even a message or anything. So people would actually have to travel to do this, and they do not belong to any bank. So no, we haven't thought about it yet.
Okay. Hope that answers the questions there. From Dharma Putra, how do you assure data quality collected?
We limit the options they can enter. Like the fields are not open questions. They're fixed, simple select questions. So we usually get the same answer. Well, we actually get the same answer every time. And as I said previously, we have defined what each answer should be like, or what factors define each answer.
Great. Do you offer any insurance on the equipment in case of hazard? From Ajitumobi.
Yeah, definitely. The 2-year warranty includes if, for example, lightning strikes the solar panel and fries the charge controller, we will definitely change the charge controller. If the malfunction of the equipment comes from something we told the client not to do, for example, connecting an inverter to a small battery or an equipment who is not adapted to an inverter, and he or she fries a part of the equipment, we would obviously charge for that. But since they're a client, we will charge a price a little bit less than the normal price, like a discount price.
Okay, great. And then I think this is the last question from Amber Stewart. What strategies do you employ during the repayment period to make sure clients stay on top of payments?
Okay, so normally the field officers, when we're talking about people who use their government programs payments to pay us, we usually know when those payments are going to come. Well, the field officer has the responsibility to know that kind of, well, maybe not the field officer, but the regional coordinator of the region. So we usually tell the communities we're going to go certain day to recover the repayments. And we know that that day they will have the money from those, those programs. For the other ones who do not belong to any program, we usually define as a specific day of the month, so when we're going to go and collect the repayments, or when they will have to pay. So they can program 1 month ahead, and and don't spend that money. We actually, we don't have anything else at the moment.
Great. I think that was the last question, and we're right on time right now. So I think I'll wrap it up for today. Feel free to reach out to either myself or Manuel. Manuel, I think you had your email up at the end.
Yeah, I'm going to put it at the end.
Yeah, great. So feel free to reach out.
You have the presentation, so if anyone wants it, you can share it.
Yeah, and then we'll be sharing the recording and the presentation online on our website in a few days. So yeah, I think with that, Manuel, thank you so much. This is a really interesting topic, and I think we had some really good questions from the audience too. So
yeah, thanks
to everybody. This is really engaging, and we look forward to hearing how the results come out.
Yeah, I'll definitely tell you how it goes.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Manuel.
Thank you.